Okay, in this one we're gonna do if Germany won World War II. Um, which if that did happen in real life, what I would do is I'll freaking kill every single Nazi I see. The end. But anyway, I just run out of ideas to do, and just like I joined a random server, and it was basically an alternate World War II, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play along. So I got this new flag that uses the Wehrmacht, the Wehrmacht division. Anyway, okay. So, um, I'm gonna just pull out the flag. There's the code. Third Reich. Let's get the Stalin. Right. So at the start, like this, it start. We're just gonna start the year at 1936. Wait, no, not that. That's what the map tells us it is. 1936. Anyway, so first thing that happens is they start organizing their stuff, building up their army. They make panzers and stuff, like they disguise some like light tanks as tractors by calling it tractors. And eventually after that they make their first panzer, Panzer 1, like Panzer 1 model, and they start producing some of them to test it out. And they work very good, they're fast, they're durable and stuff, so they start mass producing them. And with their new army, they march into the Rhineland, taking remilitarizing it. Now France is France is like, oh crap. So they start expanding their Maginot Line, and they even expand it to here because last time they went through Belgium and stuff and got a big chunk in World War One. So they're like, let's do that just in case they do the same thing again. But they didn't do it on the Swiss border because they knew if they went through the Swiss border, they would be impenetrable because of the mountains. Now they also did it on the Italian border because Italy and Germany are becoming friends and getting better relations. But anyway, so after the Germans, after the Third Reich, remilitarized the Rhineland, they started to organize more of their things, and they started to make plans. So, like World War One, they like, you know, the Schlieffen plan is a good plan, but it could do better. Instead of just going through Belgium and Luxembourg, we could go through all the Benelux, and then we could break through enemy lines and encircle a lot of their divisions, destroy those divisions, and push into France, getting rid of France, and we could move to the Eastern Front and get rid of the Soviet Union. So that was their main plan. But they also had to think about that Britain could make a deal with Norway to make another blockade, and they didn't want that to happen. And oh wait, that was cool. they could run low on supply because they knew that anything that was going to Germany through the English Channel would be blocked by the French and English. And if it was there too, then they'll be truly effed. So they started plans to try and reach the Mediterranean, but the Mediterranean wouldn't help at all. So they gave the land to Italy. So Italy done an early annexation of these lands right here. And they also they also invaded Albania, as well as taking this little bit from Yugoslavia. Now, at this time, Switzerland managed to get that. But Austria was annexed by Germany, and with that, they also took the rest of Slovenia. Then they then they asked for the Sudetenland, and since the Allies didn't want to have another war, they just allowed it to happen. And Hungary managed to get something out of it. Now after that, they started to build up their army more and build up their industry and stuff. Then they annexed the rest of the Bohemian area, and then they created a puppet in Slovakia. Meanwhile, at this time, Hungary said to the Germans if they helped them get some of Transylvania, like northern Transylvania, they would join the Axis. So Germany accepted that, and they got northern Transylvania. And shortly after, the Soviets demanded I think it's Bessarabia or something. I'm not sure, but they demanded. I'm just gonna call this Moldova. So they demanded Moldova from Romania, and Romania accepted because they didn't fight them. Anyway, Hungary demanded this from Yugoslavia, and they accepted because they were weakened, and if they went to war with them, they would go to war with the rest of the Axis and get carved up. And meanwhile, down by here, Bulgaria gobbled it up. Like, gobbled this part up, and then even took this from Romania. Romania then joined the Axis because they didn't want to be completely taken by the massive Soviet Union. And also because their king was overthrown with a fascist dictator. Anyway, so after Poland denied to give the Danzig area to Germany, Germany launches their invasion. They do really well. They even encircle a lot of their troops with their new blitzkrieg, and so they adopt the blitzkrieg because it's doing them very well, and they managed to push deep into the land, and Poland was basically carved up between Germany, the Soviet Union, and Lithuania, because Lithuania got some of its old land. Now, Germany in this region set up a Reichskommissariat, like someone who would watch over this region. Anyway, meanwhile, back to the Western Front. Nothing's really happening. except for up here, like everyone would know, the Germans having a threat of Britain blockading them and stopping iron ore from Sweden, invaded Denmark and pushed up into Norway, taking Oslo as soon as they landed. And as soon as they got up to here, Denmark started to collapse. And finally, after a short war, because it only took them a couple of weeks, they the Norwegians surrendered. Now they still have this stuff, except for why was I moving there? Except for this, because Germany ended up taking it. Now, Germany and Italy would finish carving up Yugoslavia. So Italy would get that chunk. Romania would get this. Hungary would get some of that. Germany would get that, and then Bulgaria would be able to take this, and Hungary would take the rest. Now into the African War, nothing's really happening because the Western Front is still going to be going for actually longer this time. Well, yeah, because the French are going to be fighting until the very end, well, until they lose Bordeaux and Paris. If they can hold on to at least one of those cities, they won't surrender and become like they would. So they made that. So anyway, the first thing that happened on the Western Front was Germany took Luxembourg and started to invade the Netherlands. Eventually taking Amsterdam in a week, and they surrendered. Except for here, because some Danish troops didn't want to surrender and they kept fighting on, as well as some Belgium and French were there. But eventually it fell, and all of mainland Netherlands were gone, and in Belgium, the mainland Belgium also fell, and after that, the French began to fall as well. The French saw that Germany was making a spear to the sea, so they tried stopping it, but they couldn't stop the panzers, and they created a pocket with French, some Belgian, and British, which 1,000 French escaped. All the well, not really all, like 2,000 British escaped, and then like 500 Belgian troops escaped. Belgium, not Belgium. Now, imagine that line was encircled and crushed because of lack of supply and stuff after it was encircled. Germany would encircle Paris because France was fiercely defending it, so the only way was to encircle it. Brittany was taken and Paris fell. And now, since they've lost a lot of military, Italy started to come and help their German brothers by taking a good massive chunk out of France. And eventually, after Bordeaux fell, France surrendered to the Germans, and pit was made. Was created, and then they actually got some. Well, they actually didn't get some. So let me just carve over this. There we go. So these parts resisted and kept on fighting with France for like freedom and stuff. Only this part here of Madagascar became a part of Vichy France. But now in Asia, after France fell, and they were trying to still fought with the French, but then Japan naval invaded it and eventually destroyed whatever was left. Well, of France basically, not like completely, but like in Asia. I know that there's probably gonna be like a couple more around there, but yeah. Anyway, so from there it opens up another front, and Yunnan, with its troops defending the areas around here, just collapsed. But their troops still fought on, and they and now since another front is open, the China has to worry about this front, which is already taking a massive beating, but they managed to push them back there, but not there. Anyway, this part of China fell. Hong Kong fell. They would leave that Portugal settlement alone, but they will make a deal with them to buy it. The northern part of China here would fall. And as more and more of it fell, victory for the Allies in Asia would be scarce, as now this is the only strip of land that they had that connected to the coast, and it was being dominated by Japan, so they were basically cut off from the world, except for the Soviet Union, which hasn't joined the war yet. Now, this one turned communist and joined the Comintern. They didn't want to fight China, and they weren't fighting China. But why did I say China? I meant Japan. Anyway, so China was eventually encircled, but they could retreat its troops into its allies, which are like these two basically. But meanwhile, nothing. It wasn't going good for Japan, as China and its allies fell. Asia would be completely dominated by Japan. They surrendered to them and actually joined them. Because if you can't beat them, join them. So China fell, and the borders here would change a lot. Japan would keep some, like Hong Kong and the Portuguese area that they got, as well as some coastal regions for like so they could have like a area to dock their navy. They even kept Qingdao. They took more out of China. Down here was given to their puppet. Right here was too, but not the rest of it, because they wanted it for like, like what they were using these for, like docking there and stuff, and having more naval supremacy. But anyway, so after that, the British Raj now has to worry about defending a longer border, because they used to have to only defend there, which they were fine with, but now a longer border, yeah, even worse. Now Thailand joined the Axis with Japan, Germany, and stuff to reclaim some of its old lands that it got. So the British and the British Raj were not expecting this, but after a while they managed to stable the front line there with some Dutch support around there. Up by here was pushed, and Myanmar, well, the Myanmar part of the British Raj began to fall. Japan got a big chunk. The Chinese puppet of Japan. Let me just get this bit. Somewhere's over this river. There we go. Was taken, but they managed to stabilize it, except for here, which fell. But around there, they managed to stabilize it. These ports from Portugal were given to them. The French held on to this one though, but that would be a massive mistake, as Japan was able to naval land there, and since there was barely any troops there, this part of the British Raj was completely taken. They even landed in Sri Lanka, and from there they started to push up, which now British and Indian troops had to stabilize this line. So eventually, when it got to there, they stabilized it. But around here, it started to get pushed and stuff. But eventually, after a while, they managed to do the same with here and stabilize it there. But since they did have to retreat from here, so Thailand got their empire that they dreamed of. Well, they still wanted down here, but it was coming together. Chinese, Japanese, China got that, and then Japan ended up taking this part because they wanted to take the British Raj. Now back to Europe. Well, Africa, because Europe is not gonna be. Well, yeah. The Soviets annex this, but Germany gets memo from Lithuania. Estonia is the last one to join the Soviet Union, but they joined anyway because their army was weaker. In this alternate one, Finland lost a lot more after the Winter War, so now they're even more angry. Oh wait, I forgot about it. I forgot about this part of Norway. What the fuck? Anyway, so now Greece, Italy would declare war on Greece like they did, but they managed to get that, but then the Albanian part of Greece would fall, and since these guys already were in the Axis, so they got their booties slapped. Now, eventually, a stalemate occurred. Now, but then Turkey joined because they wanted to make the Ottoman Empire, like they joined the Axis. They were like they weren't democratic, fascist, or communist. I don't really know what they were in World War II. But let's just go with the Hoi 4 thing out of non-aligned. Because that's what they are in Hoi 4, so we're just gonna go like that. But anyway, Turkey ended up getting all these islands around from Greece, because Greece didn't have many troops on them, and the navy was absolutely obliterated. Now, a landing in southern Greece occurred. Athens was taken, and then it was occupied like this. And meanwhile, French Syria was taken, and so was Cyprus. With the permission of Germany, Turkey was able to invade Iraq, eventually meaning that they could take Kuwait, and Jordan fell to them. And now that they had two sides that could head to the Suez Canal, the Italians started pushing, and they pushed a lot more deeper, taking the entrances to the Nile. Not really close to taking the Nile, like it was like on these two right here. They were stuck there until British troops started to push them back. They did manage to push them back a lot, like even more. But they did have to retreat by a lot because of the Turks eventually taking the Suez Canal. And now, the British were effed. They were just done. German troops eventually came in, and it was divided like this. They managed to take that. This was taken by the Ottomans to have dominance over the Red Sea. They even took a lot of the Nile. But then Italy started to as well push into here. And now, since the French had a longer front to deal with, they had to retreat further. These colonies here were encircled. Well, they were already encircled and they were destroyed. They were invaded. And now they're all just desperate on holding. Now Turkey starts to invade Saudi Arabia. They even take this part of Yemen, which allows them to take a lot more. They took these parts. They took all of freaking Saudi Arabia because they just want a massive empire. They took the British colonies over here. They took Oman. And Italy just took the rest of this. And now these guys are basically encircled because supply could be stopped. And they fled to Djibouti Arr! And died. The end. And then after that, a push occurred down there. Not a big one, but anyway. Now, I'm not focusing on the Spanish Civil War, but after that, while the fascists and communists were fighting, a democratic party rose up and ended up winning. And they joined the Allies, so Germany had to have another front, which was easily dealt with. Vichy France ended up getting some juicy Spanish colonies. And they started to get pushed over here. Spain started to lose land over here. They also invaded this part, but anyway. Now Spain ended up getting carved up, and Vichy France ended up getting that. These islands just fell. Oh, I forgot about this. Let's give that to Vichy France. It doesn't deserve to be Italian. My game. My server, my rules. Anyway, since this used to be a German colony, Germany made a massive naval landing, taking these parts, marching up to here, taking this. Vichy France ended up getting the rest of it. And the French colony down by here just collapsed. And Belgium was next. So, Belgium lost their coast entirely. And they started to get pushed. Anyway, the Turkish came down to here and took those parts of it. German troops took that from Vichy France, and they started to blitzkrieg across here. And they eventually took this. Portugal was next. Well, these Portugal colonies were Portuguese, not Portugal colonies. These ones were also next. And the British started to lose their dominance in Africa, as the Axis completely dominated there. Now, at this time, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in 1942. It was actually 1941, but they did it in 1942, a year later. And after a while, the Americans were ready to launch their offensive here, which, as soon as they landed on their shores, they were completely beaten and got their butt smacked. And their butt got smacked over and over and over again until all those troops just died. Now, the Azores were slowly taken by the Germans, and now that they were much closer to here, they could start planning a possible naval invasion. And they did have naval dominance over there, stopping, and they did use a lot of their submarines to stop any troops from U.S. troops from reaching there, so the United States focused on Asia. But anyway, meanwhile, while that was happening, the Operation Sea Lion took a different approach. Instead of gaining naval superiority, well, and focusing on that, they'll just have superiority on the coasts, and they would use their planes to start bombing only like their planes and stuff. And once Germany had naval supremacy, they landed in Britain. And eventually Britain fell because they've already lost a lot more of their troops. And as soon as Germany got to there, Wales declared independence, and so did Scotland. Anyway, so after that, the new things. Oh wait, this is Irish. Why did I give a lot of land to Scotland? This is Ocean Welsh. Anyway, so Germany carved up um, Britain with Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. Now Britain had to be like free France, and yeah, something tells me it's not gonna go well for them. As German troops start to do a massive blitzkrieg towards there, cutting off the colony here. They focus on this part. And then this part was also destroyed. Now, after carving up South Africa between Vichy France and Germany, they looked to the final bit of Africa, which was Madagascar, which was easily taken by the Vichy French and German troops. Now, Free France collapsed at this point, and since the Germans knew that they were going to win the war, they granted this part of France as well, and Italy actually gave France this part, not that. Well, this part back, and France was no longer Vichy France. It was basically just called now the French state, or German France, or whatever. It was basically a German Reichskommissariat. Paris was given back to them. They did lose Alsace-Lorraine, but honestly, getting northern France back is even better, as well as having this part. Anyway, so now, they even got like, well, no they didn't. We're just gonna give this part to Germany, because Germany wants to control the entrance to here. Germany gave this to Italy. Turkey reformed the Ottoman Empire, and then they still stayed with the Axis, but not really at the same time. They said that we're done, we're gonna be like out, partially out, but we're still gonna send you like troops and stuff if you need it. But we're not gonna invade the countries with you. So like, you know what, that's better than nothing, you can do that. But anyway, so now Europe and Africa was dominated by the Axis, and Asia, as well as Oceania and North America, were the last places where the Allies were. Now, I'm starting to get hungry and stuff, so I'm just gonna end it now. So there is right. Oh wait, what is it? There we go. I don't know why it didn't save. But anyway, this is the end of this video so far, and I'm gonna go get something to eat. So, part 2 is gonna be coming tomorrow. I know, or the next day or something. I don't know. But anyway, have a good day, everyone.